Welcome to the Winter 2022 E&T All-Staff Virtual Meeting. It is officially March, so our theme is March Madness. Just to give everyone an idea of what to expect today, this is our agenda. So we're going to have a welcome message from our Executive Director, Lisa Kerbling, followed by a couple organizational updates with some of our team changes that have occurred with Eric Liu and myself, followed by some E&T updates regarding office improvements, health and safety, equity, diversity, and inclusion, a commencement update, and employee recognition with a fun activity for you all to participate in with Robin. And then we will be joined at some point during this meeting by Administrative Vice Chancellor Michael Beck. So he will be popping in, and then we will have the Q&A session at the end. So as a reminder, if you have any questions, use the Q&A portion of the Zoom meeting, and you can submit a question either with your name or anonymously. And if you see a question that somebody else asked and you like that, you can upvote it and we'll take a look at it. And just another reminder, keep an eye on our intranet site. That's where we're posting all the updated campus news as well as E&T news, and the operational updates website is listed there as well as the UCLA COVID-19 website. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Executive Director, Lisa Kerbling.
Thanks, Lauren. Good morning, everyone. Before we start, I did want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for all the work they've been doing since our last meeting. I know that January and February presented yet more new challenges, and everyone stepped up to the plate. More of our staff were personally impacted by COVID during January and February and late December than ever before, but we still kept everything running and kept our customers served. And I really do want to thank everybody for taking care of each other. Thank you. Of course, the next thing is not working. There. Just another reminder, we are in the midst of our work environment survey. This is a survey that's normally done annually. The last one was in 2019. We did not do one in 2020 or 2021 because of COVID, but this is your opportunity to give us feedback on how things are going for you personally in your work environment. We do take your feedback seriously, and we want to hear from you so we can make things better. Just another reminder, the deadline to do the survey is March 11th, so please make sure you do it. If you need time away from specific work in order to do it, please talk to your supervisor and they'll make time allowed for it. Next, I'd like to introduce all of our new employees that have joined us since our last staff meeting. The first one is John Bernard. He's our new Bruin Bus Operations General Manager over in Transit Services. John actually just joined us yesterday, so this is probably one of his first official meetings with transportation and events. Edwin Brown is a Parking Assets Operations Supervisor in Parking Assets. Leo Corrado is a Scheduling Coordinator over in the Events Office. Jane Fernando is the new Marketing Project Manager for Integrated Marketing and Communications. Emily Hahn is our new Active Transportation Planner with Mobility Planning and Traffic Systems. Luis Malara is a Parrot Transit Van Operator for Fleet and Transit. Roland Mempin is a Paratransit Van Operator with Fleet and Transit. Courtney Oboihe is a Parking Assets Operations Supervisor with Parking Assets. And Mei Zhang is our new Accounting Manager with Finance. Welcome, everyone. We're glad to have you aboard. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Eric Liu, who's going to do his updates.
Good morning and happy Wednesday, everyone. A couple of things to share. Like to announce a couple of organizational changes with Finance Systems and Assets. Like to welcome Chris Lechner and the Data Analytics team to FS&A. Chris and his team, they've been working on data analytics, mostly for commuter and parking services, as well as the campus COVID data initiatives. With this new alignment and with Chris and his team joining Finance Systems and Assets, now we have the ability to kind of spread that skill set across all of E&T. This will help us correlate the data across multiple business units so that we can better, meet our strategic goals here within the department. So Chris and his team will be reaching out to many of the business units and working with you on what your data and analytic needs are. Another organizational change is that the citation review and adjudication team will be joining commuter and parking services. This will give them a better alignment customer service-wise with that team and then help serve our customers better. And those are the updates I have. I'll hand it off to Lauren now.
Thanks, Eric. All right, so I'm going to give you all an update on the integrated marketing and communications team. As you probably saw in a message from our Vice Chancellor just a couple weeks ago, IMC is actually merging with Housing and Hospitality's marketing team. So we are going to be forming Administration, Marketing, and Communications, which is AMC. And so we'll actually be located now reporting to the Office of the Administrative Vice Chancellor. So instead of serving just E&T and the couple of administration departments that we've taken on in the last year or two through the marketing hub we formed, we're actually going to be serving the entire division now. So not only will we be working with events and transportation, but we also have been working with facilities management, financial and organizational services, now including UCLA Sustainability, the UCLA Police Department, but we're also going to be helping with Housing and Hospitality, Campus Human Resources, the Central Ticket Office, Environment, Health and Safety, Information Technology Services, and pre-K through 12. So what does this mean for our E&T clients? Our services will not change. You are still our clients, so don't be sad. We are still going to be working with you and you will see us on a regular basis, just like you do now. We still work for E&T, we just don't report to E&T. So we're still in the process of making all of this happen. It's going to take a little bit to get it all together, but our updated email addresses and an intake website will be coming soon. We also are determining where our physical office location will be for the days that our team is on campus. As you know, we're working hybrid right now. So as far as getting your projects done and your requests in, submitting timely requests through the intake system remains the most important first step. Another update is our project management update. So we have a new project manager, a new project management system, and currently still using the same intake website for now. So as Lisa mentioned, we do have a new marketing project manager that we're super excited to have on board. Her name is Jane Fernando, and that is her contact information. So any questions or requests you might have will be funneled through her. We also are phasing out Smartsheet and moving everything over to Rike, which is our new marketing project management system. So we're hoping that is a better experience for our clients in providing you updates and reports on everything that we're working on. And for right now, as we work through this transition, you'll still use the same IMC intake website to submit your requests. It's just that that form is now going to Rike instead of Smartsheet. And eventually we will send you out a new website for submitting your requests once our team merger is official. And with that, I am going to hand it over to Gio Barrientos.
Thank you, Lauren. Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I will be providing updates for the parking asset team. The customer relation management space, formerly the commuter services, is in the final renovation phase and should be completed by early spring, aiming towards April. The workspace will better suit the unit's new needs and ever-changing working team. Also, the central administration is also underway through renovation. The goal is to have the area be used as both a flex and a collaborative space. The potential completion and timeline for that renovation is winter 2022. Another tenant improvement has been the breezeway hallway that connects structure 8 level 2. Currently, as we already received a new paint job, signs around the hallway are also being upgraded to reflect the events and transportation branding. This is crucial as the events office has moved to from Kirkall Hall to the Strathmore building. And on the right, it shows the customer relations management space, how it was before, and the current phase of that. And this slide shows the central admin on the top, and on the right, it shows the current phase of that project. At the bottom is the breezeway new paint shop shown on the bottom right. But no matter how much planning is performed for projects, there tends to be variables out of our control and some that are unexpected. We just must roll with the punches. The supply chain delays has postponed shipments of materials and goods for the projects. Also, we have limited staff resources, so our projects are competing with campus projects with the same staffing needs. As well, there's been some supporting units protocol changes. This sometimes results in projects being on standby until those supporting units get approvals or direction. And finally, COVID. COVID protocols are always changing, and we are required to meet the new guidelines. As a result, sometimes our projects are temporarily postponed until further notice. The following are a couple of TI projects or tenant improvement projects that are underway. Right now, we're upgrading the workplace. It has been a focus for our department. We're working toward adding a paint upgrade and flooring to the department's hallways. We're also, a focal point is also the break room. We're on the planning phase for the break room renovation. The project was temporarily postponed for other office needs, but we are now moving towards forward and using feedback you shared during the feedback campaign a couple of years ago. Thank you for your time. Let me now pass it to Steve Wang, who will be sharing health and safety updates.
Thanks, Gio. Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Wang, Director of E&T Central Administration. Today, I'm actually going to spend about 5 minutes reviewing not just UCLA's COVID protocols, but also going over key dates for anyone considering retirement and explaining how employees hired since 2016 who chose not to join the UC pension program now have a chance to join. So first up, COVID protocol reminders. This is old news, but just to be clear, all students, staff, and faculty must be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 or have an exemption in order to access any UC facility. Those with an exemption may return to work as long as they remain masked in all public settings and comply with the local testing plan. Speaking of testing, nothing new here either. Those of you working on UCLA property are required to test weekly, which in this case means no more than 7 days apart. Last week, a few of our employees who normally take their test on Mondays fell out of compliance due to the President's Day holiday. If that happens to you, take the vending machine test as soon as you get to campus and indicate on the daily symptom monitoring survey that you have a test pending. That should clear you for work. Now to a more recent item. You may have seen the Bruin Post last week announcing that even though LA County has eased indoor masking restrictions, UCLA's protocols have not changed. This means that while indoors, you must wear an upgraded mask such as a surgical KN95 or N95 mask. E&T has free surgical and KN95 masks. Just ask your supervisor if you need any. Keep in mind that the KN95s can be worn up to 5 times. Just make sure to discard any that start to feel loose fitting or look dirty. Lastly, if you're experiencing any COVID symptoms, have tested positive for COVID, or think you may have been exposed, you must call the UCLA COVID hotline right away. The call center will provide an assessment, including instructions on isolation, quarantine, further testings, and guidance on when it's safe for you to return to work. Now, switching gears entirely, you've likely noticed that most retirement parties at UCLA take place in June. That's not a coincidence. So if you're thinking of retiring this year or anytime soon for that matter, please listen up. The first thing to know is that you get cost of living adjustments or COLAs to your pension benefits after you retire so that the value of your monthly pension check doesn't shrink over time due to inflation. Your first COLA in retirement will be applied on July 1st after at least 1 year of retirement. So if you retire on July 1st this year, you'll get your first COLA next July 1st. If you don't retire until July 2nd or later, you won't receive that first COLA until July 1st, 2024. So that's why it's important to retire by July 1st. There's a separate reason why so many employees choose June 29th as their separation date, or basically their last day of work. And this is to take advantage of what's called the inactive COLA. The inactive COLA was originally meant for employees who separated from the university but did not actually retire until years later. But generally speaking, the amount of your retirement benefits, they're partially based on your salary during your last few years with UC. The inactive COLAs are added for each July 1st that passes between your separation date and your retirement date, again, to account for things like inflation. So the loophole here is that if you're retiring this year, you can get one inactive COLA right away as long as you are inactive before July 1st of this year. That means you must separate at the latest by June 29th so that you are inactive on June 30th. By the way, I see my slide there refers to the 1976 tier. I think that's basically anyone hired at UC before mid-2013. So I know that was a lot to absorb. So to boil down, just remember that the key dates are June 29th and July 1st. Another important date is actually April 1st because you can apply for retirement starting 90 days before your retirement date. We strongly encourage you to apply as early as possible because it often takes months to complete the entire process due to so many employees at UCLA retiring at the same time of the year. That if you wait to apply, you risk that your retirement benefits won't actually start and arrive on August 1st. But don't worry, that money will eventually arrive, but it might be a month or even months later, depending on how many people retire and the bandwidth of campus human resources. This happens to people every year. If you have any questions at all, please contact Sarah Faze. And finally, something for our newer employees. Those of you who joined UC since mid-2016 had the option of choosing a 401k style plan or savings choice rather than join the pension program. Starting last year, UC decided to allow anyone who opted for savings choice to switch to pension choice after about 5 years. The window opens on January 1st, about 5 years after you start with UC, and closes on May 31st, 5 years after that. So I've got a little illustration here showing exactly when the windows open. As you can see, this currently only applies to those hired in 2016 or 2017. And a few quick final notes. One, switching to pension choice is a one-way trip. You cannot switch from pension choice to savings choice. Secondly, if you switch to pension choice, the service credit you earned while in savings choice will not count towards the calculation of your pension benefits. Some good news, it will count towards vesting in the pension and towards retiree health benefits. And of course, you get to keep anything you saved while in the savings choice program. Lastly, represented employees' retirement benefits are governed by their union's collective bargaining agreements and may differ from what I just presented. So that does it for me. And now I'll hand off to Jonah Lamas from Commuter and Parking Services.
Thanks so much, Steve, and good morning, everybody. So today I'm presenting on events and transportation's equity, diversity, and inclusion commitments, which could be found by clicking on the link in the presentation or on the intranet. Our goal for these EDI efforts are to understand that we all have different experiences, values, backgrounds, identities, etc. And we want to recognize these differences so that we gain a better understanding of each other and work towards building a better workplace culture, a culture of belonging where everyone can feel comfortable being themselves. Our commitments to EDI efforts will grow and change just like all of us. So this is a living document. We have 4 focus areas: championing EDI efforts and understanding that it's a new language is the first. The reality is that we all bring our implicit biases with us in whatever situation we're in, and there will be some mishaps. We may even say or do some things that are considered racist, sexist, any of the ists or phobias. But our commitment is to try to listen, to grow, and to change. By building awareness of these assumptions, educating ourselves on different identities and groups, practicing open and honest communication with no blame or shame, and challenging biases as they arise, we can begin to move toward a more inclusive future. The document has a ton of educational resources, and this is just kind of a short overview of it, so make sure to check it out. The next is EDI communications. Many of you guys may have noticed the usage of pronouns in signatures and on Zoom names, and some may be confused when it may, in many cases, it may be obvious. But the usage of pronouns is to create a sense of safety for our colleagues who have lived identities as non-cisgender people. Also, it acknowledges and affirms said lived identities. This commitment, along with others you can read about in the document, and is an effort to bolster safety and show allyship. The next focus area is professional development and recruitment. We're committed to meeting with recruitment groups to give EDI best practice consults to ensure equitable, diverse, and inclusive hiring practices. You can read more about this and other professional development efforts in the document. Finally, creating and providing resources. We're looking to support nursing mothers by providing private space for lactation in the office. Currently, we have temporary space in room 185B with more permanent space forthcoming. We also have gender inclusive restrooms in suite 190, suite 106, and at transit. And we have a growing EDI share library in the flex desk space as pictured in the slide. So to wrap it all up, this is a new frontier for us. And it's okay to make mistakes as long as we're trying. If you have any questions or any ideas about EDI efforts, please feel free to contact me or Veronica, your equity advisors. Our emails are in the slide here. And that's about it for me. I'm going to be passing it on to Bill Sweeney. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Jonah. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for joining us in this meeting. As mentioned in the earlier agenda presentation, I'm going to be talking about UCLA commencement. So, knock on wood, UCLA in-person commencement is back. As we have learned over the past few years, there's really no guarantees for anything, but as long as our COVID health numbers kind of remain the same or improve, we will be moving forward with a standard commencement weekend. This year, the main commencement weekend will be Thursday, June 9th through Sunday, June 12th. Over those 4 days, we're going to be coordinating up 65 individual ceremonies of varying sizes from 50 people to up to 13,000 people. There will be several commencement ceremonies that happen before this weekend. The medical school, law school, and dentistry school all have their commencements prior to the main weekend, which the events office will also be working on. In addition, in 2022, the ceremonies will include makeup ceremonies from some remaining 2020 and 2021 graduates from the UCLA College and also from the School of Education that weren't able to participate in previous makeup ceremonies that were scheduled in Royce Hall earlier this school year. Kind of a new twist for commencements 2022, we're moving forward into the e-paperless future. There will be, for UCLA College at least, there'll be no paper event programs, it'll be all electronic. And I'm guessing a lot of the other schools and departments will follow suit with that. There also will be, for the first time in commencements, electronic guest tickets, and kind of reprising the process from last year, there'll be electronic parking permits. So it'll be all, for most part, be a paperless commencement. However, real non-e-flowers are still available for purchase at commencement booths throughout the campus. Of course, the events office and the campus will have to take into consideration COVID considerations and COVID health. So right now, we're just planning for the accommodations that would apply to the current protocols, which means that anyone attending any event at UCLA would have to provide either proof of vaccination or proof of a recent negative test result. Masks will be per the current requirements, masks are required indoors for events, but only recommended outdoors. And I would say it's about half and half in terms of the number of ceremonies indoors as opposed to outdoors. We still have about 50% split. Right now, the campus is exploring a partnership with a private company to provide COVID document checks, vaccine and testing checks. And also that same company, if this arrangement works out, would provide on-site testing services to people who don't happen to have either vaccination proof or already have a proof of a negative test. Our fallback plan B, in case things do get worse in terms of an outbreak and there's increased restrictions put forward by health agencies, is to move the mega indoor events, which would be right now, based on the numbers, Poly Pavilion events, Royce Hall events, and the Ackerman Student Union ceremonies, to outdoor ceremonies, probably the recreation venue ceremonies. Right now, for Poly, the idea is that we would move Poly directly over to Drake Stadium, and ideally we would be able to maintain the same schedule. That won't apply in all cases, and we're really hoping we don't have to apply this plan B, but that's kind of our fallback at this point. Kind of another logistical operational accommodation in the interest of kind of minimizing the spread of germs. We no longer will be having self-serve water coolers around the campus, which was actually a very big operation that we had to do to manage the hundreds of different coolers and water bottles and switching those. So right now we won't have those available for people to serve themselves water. And we did want to acknowledge the enormous amount of effort and collective effort it takes to manage commencements, even within just the events and transportation group. We heavily lean on integrated marketing communications to manage the commencement website and also provide the branding and the creative for commencements 2022 and help with the signage production. Parking, of course, we'll have to manage all the guest and vendor permitting and space allocations. And I believe there probably will be guest kiosks available for all the people driving in who have questions. We will be using Bruin Bus to shuttle guests from outlying parking structures to Poly Pavilion. And Fleet Transit will also be helping us procure electric carts for our operational crew. And then the whole network is, of course, supported by finance, HR, IT. Really, none of this would work unless we all kind of work together as a team. So I definitely, and we at the events office definitely want to acknowledge the contribution of the whole E&T structure. So thanks everyone for helping with the commencements. And now I would be passing it on to Robin Bell.
Good morning, everyone.
Interrupt you, Robin. Oh,
Yes.
Sorry, Robin. I'm going to interrupt you because we did get joined by our Vice Chancellor Michael Beck. So I am going to turn it over to him actually to give a quick update on our executive director search.
Fantastic. This is exciting.
Yeah, sorry
All
to
right, Michael,
interrupt that good.
yours.
Sorry to interrupt that good discussion. So hopefully you'll all be able to make that transition. But it's good to see you all. I wanted to just stop by and share. I think all of you saw the email that went out last week, really to give all of you an update on where we are with the executive director search, and wanted to make sure if anybody had any questions or comments about that you had an opportunity to address those with me. But following the search and the interviews, ultimately I ended up deciding not to select one of any of the candidates that applied, and really sort of keep the current structure in place, which I think has been working well. And again, I have confidence in the team and all the things that the department has been achieving since Renee retired, and think that there's really no reason to make a change at this particular moment. And so the idea is that we will keep Lisa in the interim executive director role for some additional time, and then at an appropriate time in the future, we'll go out and renew the search. So one is, I think, to share the confidence that I have in all of you and the leadership team within E&T, but also not trying to continue to make changes in the organization. But anyway, that's ultimately where we are, and certainly open to any questions folks may have.
And if you do have questions, go ahead and drop it into the Q&A portion of the Zoom meeting.
Anyway, seeing
right, well,
no real comments, I do want to thank you all for all the work that you've been doing. I know we've gone through a fair amount of transition over the last 2 years, going through COVID and trying to manage through a reduction in parking demand and services, as well as changes in our transportation program, and you know, sort of really a resurgence in the campus as it continues to grow back and into the organization. I know that there were many questions about whether we were going to merge E&T into another unit. And I do want to sort of address that directly, that the delay in not hiring sort of a permanent director should not be misread as a change in my position that we should have an executive director of events and transportation, and there's no intent to sort of merge E&T into other units at the time. It's E&T is a large organization, which is complicated, and feel comfortable that there should continue to be somebody leading that organization. So I'll address that.
Michael, there were
Michael, a couple questions have come in.
Go ahead.
So, oh yeah, a couple questions have come into the Q&A. I'm not sure if you can see it, but someone asked, any thoughts as to when the search will restart?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'm not in any hurry to do that. So I don't know if that's in a year or in 18 months. But obviously we can't keep leaning on Lisa indefinitely. That's not fair to her. But I don't see it happening anytime in the immediate future. And the issue associated with some departmental efficiencies and new opportunities, the opportunity to elaborate there, the organization, you know, really pre-COVID was working dramatically on creating significant efficiencies, both on the parking side and on the transportation side, where utilizing and partnering with additional transportation agencies to provide some of the routes, augment some of our own routes, actually replace the Weyburn route, as well as looking at on the parking side, becoming much more, creating a ticketless or paperless or permitless parking environment, and having the portal be able to provide a service which significantly reduced how people engage in the permitting process, and makes it easier for compliance. And there are the department has other in the fleet side of the equation, other efficiency efforts that they're working on, and I think want to be able to support those efforts to continue to occur. We also, of course, had the consolidation with the marketing and communications teams, and so all of those were certainly in the works and continue to move forward. What is my favorite mode of transportation? Certainly it's the bicycle. For those of you who see me, certainly the transit team sees me quite regularly on the bike, and on although I haven't been on the bus lately, I use that as a backup. And then the question about, it's a good question with regard to salary increases this year, considering the rate of inflation. We're still waiting for the final instructions from the Office of the President, but the regents did approve, at least for policy covered staff, a 4.5% general increase. The question is, how much of that is going to be sort of base rate, and how much of that is going to be based on merit, and those are things that are still going to be put in place. And with regard to important qualities associated with the executive director, it's somebody who would recognize the quality that already exists at UCLA, somebody who is creative and innovative, has a very strong commitment and demonstrated effort toward focusing on the highest level of customer service, as well as developing and supporting an internal team, making sure that the staff are feeling engaged, clearly understand the purpose of the organization, in addition to the mission, vision, and values, but the purpose as to why we're here and the importance of those efforts in supporting the campus toward meeting their overall mission. And those are probably the most important qualities. It would be helpful for the individual to have a background in one or more. Certainly, the more areas within E&T, the better that they have, and they have to have the right attitude that instills confidence and has individual and creates an environment, a culture within their organization where people want to be part of it and have a clear vision on where the organization is heading. So with regard to the non-policy covered staff, anybody who is part of represented organizations that has an existing contract, the university will continue to provide increases consistent with those contracts, and that those that have contracts that are open, those discussions and negotiations will happen at the negotiation table between representatives of labor and management individuals, and the increase in compensation will be consistent with those contracts. So is there a strategic goal to unify all various? Certainly, my goal would be that we should be unifying those transportation functions across the university. We should focus in that area. We've, at least in the short term, have some vehicle sharing agreements with the health system, but I'm not shy about saying that I think that we should have one transportation unit for the university, and that would certainly be part of a goal that I would have, and E&T should be providing those services for the hospital organization. Yeah, so there is not a current plan, and I don't think it's appropriate to merge E&T into other departmental administration units. There are elements similar to communications and marketing, like IT functions, that are currently being looked at as to whether those functions are best suited at the departmental level, or whether they really provide system network or back-end services that are really can benefit from the economy of scale within a larger IT services organization. And the philosophy behind that is allow entities to focus on their core competencies and let those entities that have core competencies in those specific disciplines to provide those services. And that gets back to the earlier question with regard to a unified transportation system. Is the core competency for transportation is in E&T. The core competency for the medical enterprise is providing medical services and support. And so consistent with that would be appropriate for them to rely on E&T, the transportation organization, for core competencies in that area, similarly to how they do so with other functions such as parking and valet services.
All right, awesome. So just so everyone knows, we will have our general Q&A session open at the end of the presentation, right after Robin goes. So if there's no more questions for Michael, we can get started on the next segment. And thank you so much, Michael, for joining us. And you're welcome to hang out and see if you can guess E&T babies, but we understand you're very busy, so.
No, thanks, Lauren. I appreciate being here. And I know that we may not have answered all the questions. So if others have questions that they want to submit through later in your meeting, they can get to me, or you can email me directly, and I'm happy to try and answer any questions that you may have directly that you weren't able to or felt uncomfortable asking in the broader environment. But thank you for having me here, and thank you all for all the work that you're all doing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, I will turn it over to Robin Bell.
Wow, tough act to follow. Hi, everyone. My name is Robin Bell, and I'm here to talk to you about my favorite topic, employee recognition. So since we last met back in November, we've had quite a few Employee of the Month recipients, and I'd like to take a moment to highlight them. So to kick us off, we have back in November, we have Ulugita Hailey from Med Center Valet, who was our November Employee of the Month recipient, representing our operational side of the house. Excuse me. So for the month of December, our Employee of the Month recipients, we have Myra Delgado from Fleet and Transit, and she was representing our administrative side. And we also have Carlos Borja from Parking Enforcement, which was representing our operational units. To kick us off for the month of January and our new year, we have Cheryl Richard from Fleet and Transit as well, representing our administrative staff. And we also have Angel Garcia from Med Center Valet, representing our operational units. But not to outshine, we also revived our Student Employee of the Month program back in October of 2021. So we had this program a while back, but we decided to breathe some life back into it and kick it back off. So to kick us off back in October, we had Corey Swearingen from our Parking Assets team, who was our October Student Employee of the Month. And we also had Ashley Doe, who was representing Parking Assets as well for our November Student Employee of the Month. For January 2022, we want to recognize Luna Gibbles for our Student Employee of the Month, and she's representing Med Center Valet as well. So I want to just take a quick moment to give them a round of applause and thank them for all of their hard work and dedication. Not only do we have our frontline and administrative staff providing that exceptional customer service, but it's nice to see our students supporting our mission as well. So bravo to all of you, and thank you so very much for all of your hard work and dedication. So now we are going to kick it over to have a little bit of fun. So for this winter photo slideshow, we decided to do the theme of Show Us Your Baby Photos. So this is an amazing theme. We had so many people that participated and sent over their baby photos. So if you ever walked by my cubicle and heard me laughing, it was probably because I was in receipt of one of these amazing photos. So how it's going to work from here is I'm going to display a picture of a baby. And what I would like all of you to do is utilize the chat feature. Have some fun, take some guesses at who you think that baby might be. We also will share a few clues with you that we received from said babies. So to help you through that a little. So let's kick it off and have some fun.
All right. This baby grew up to be a guest on multiple TV shows, TV game shows, including Wheel of Fortune and The Price is Right. So if you guys can guess who it is, go ahead and write his name in the chat. Yep, everyone guessed it because you all know Andy Pay.
Yes, so we
From
started off with
yeah.
something a little easier. All right, now this little baby, she will not pass up the opportunity to attend a themed dress-up party.
They're getting that.
Ideas. Yep, Carol, and her favorite color is orange. All right, so Carol, let's see. Okay, now our next baby.
Okay, so this little girl was born in Orange County, California, and she recently got married, and some of us were there celebrating with her. See if you guys know it. Let's click to the next one. Yep, everyone's getting it.
Wow, we have a smart group here, that's for sure. I swear people look so similar to their photos. It's kind of uncanny, really. Okay, so this little guy, Rub-a-Dub-Dub, he was actually featured in a G.I. Joe movie. Look at everybody like already knows. Yes, G.I. Joe.
You should have played the clip from the G.I. Joe movie.
I know. So it's Michael Summers. I know. We thought it would be a little harder with our clues, but I guess not. So there he is, multitasking. I think he's ironing even in the bathtub. So our next baby.
All right. This baby grew up to be pretty tall, and he hails from the same town that The Office was set in and that the president is from. Any guesses as to who came from Scranton, Pennsylvania? Yep, they got it. Well, let's show what he looks like today. Dave Karwoski.
Yep.
Time.
Okay, now this little girl is an avid baker.
And has the same haircut.
Yep, and well, I was gonna hold out on that, but yep, and has the same haircut. And that was provided by her, but yes, the same stylish hairdo for sure. So that's Marisol Aguilar from Fleet and Transit.
All right, this little Trekkie fan, she has actually done some improv training at UCB, the United Citizens Brigade, and currently uses her creative talents to create slideshows like this one. So all these fun graphics you see, or yeah, we got a couple people. All right, let's reveal who it is.
All right, that face, I love it.
Designer. Yeah, so this is our talented designer, Vanessa.
Sorry, I clicked too fast. Okay, now this little baby, as of March 2022, has reached a 28-year milestone working for the university. Any guesses? She also collects pigs. Nope, not me.
The next one should give it away.
All right, yes, and she's French, Natalie. Oh, what a cutie. All right.
All right, okay, so this little baby grew up to be a big help to our parking customers and currently works in our CRM unit. Any guesses? Oh yeah, you guys are all getting it.
Yeah.
Yep.
She has not changed much. All right. So this little guy is probably on a skateboard and surfing just about every opportunity day of the week. Oh, this is a no-brainer. Yes. And he is our unofficial paparazzi, but in a good way. So Lance Pataskal.
This is one of my faves. This girl has emceed a lot of our E&T events in the past. And as she mentioned, her namesake was eaten by a whale, if you couldn't already guess it, which everyone did guess.
All right, there's Jonah. Gotta love that smile. Okay, speaking of smiles, this little girl traded in her baby booties for a pair of high heels. And even though she's always wearing a mask, there's a big smile under there. Any
Any
guesses? This
guesses?
one might be a little more challenging.
High heels, Gio. High heels. Oh, someone guessed
Ding,
it.
ding, ding.
Yeah, a couple people guessed it. Yeah.
Karen Hallisey. Awesome. Good job.
All right. This little lady loves to shop at Costco. Some of her coworkers may know who it is. She grew up to be an application developer. Oh yeah, Priyanka got it just on the Costco tip. And other.
All right.
All right, her
moving
team's coming in
on.
strong. They know her well.
Absolutely. Okay, next on deck. Ooh, this little beach baby clearly loves the water and still does. She loves to travel to tropical locations. Steve. Yes, sometimes has a flower in her hair. Yes, good job. Your team knows you well, Lauren. All right, Lauren Burgell.
Been in the water since birth.
Yes, water baby.
All right. This little girl loves anime and K-pop, and she's often found behind the camera or creating beautiful branding for our department. Yes. Bunch of people got it.
Yes, good job. You guys are smart. We're gonna have to make this more challenging. All right.
All right, we're down to our
Jahira.
final two.
Yes. Oh, maybe we won't give clues. Should we not give clues for the finals?
Oh yeah. Oh, actually, we have like four more.
Yes. All right. This little baby graduated from our Big Brother campus and is also, oh my gosh, and is also a senior manager. Yes, Dave Wiedemann, you got it right, Lance. Yes, it was Steve. All right, Steve Wayne, good job.
All right, this is one of our newest team members. This little baby still has bangs and recently joined us from Metro. Oh yeah, got a bunch of people paying attention when I introduced her in our recent meetings. Jane Fernando.
Absolutely, Jane Fernando, fantastic. All right, this little baby has provided some tough competition for some of our chili cook-offs at our events and also has a similar hairdo.
The vegetarian selection of our chili cook-off events.
Yes. Yes. All right. Looks like we have a couple people. Clinton Bench. Definitely looks the same. All right.
All right. Don't let the crazy face on this baby fool you. Today, you can find her smiling and laughing in the hallways or hunting for tacos and snacks with me. Who could this possibly be? Yes.
I don't know if I should be offended or not, but dang, you guys nailed it.
I insisted this one was the grand finale because it's so classic Robin.
Oh my gosh. Yes, 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 yes. Awesome. All right.
All right. Well, thanks for playing.
Yes, that was so fun, you guys. I really thought we would, catch you up a little bit on some of those, but you're all too smart. And we all look so similar, right? I don't know. Anyway.
Except me, apparently I look like Steve.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so I'm going to hand it back to you, Lauren, for questions and answers. So hopefully we still have some time, having too much fun.
Steve, I'm not sure if any other additional questions have come in. We have a couple minutes. We actually did this right on time. Hallelujah. So if you do have any general questions you want to ask, our senior management team is here and our HR team is here to answer your questions. So go ahead and drop them in the Q&A and Steve will funnel them to the appropriate person. Glad you guys had fun with the baby game. That was fun.
Yeah, it looks like all the questions that came in got answers or were answered live. I don't see any new ones. I think everyone's still just recovering from the baby photos.
I'm getting lots of messages.
If anyone's question kind of got lost in the fold or maybe got misclicked or something, feel free to resubmit it. Any final words from any of our other panelists? Anyone feel like saying anything? Otherwise, we'll shut this down in a minute or two.
One quick thing, since we did go through the baby photos so quickly, we will have them on the internet in like a separate PowerPoint slide, you know, or presentation. So if anybody wants to take a quicker look or go back for, you know, a giggle, feel free to. Just give Andy some time.
There's a question.
Cool.
I see. I'm in a support unit. Projects are really difficult to move when we lose staff at the rate we do. What steps are we taking to retain employees, particularly non-monetary things? Is this one that anyone wants to answer? Clinton, is that you chiming in?
So I would say that we do try and create an environment where people can be themselves and be successful. I'm probably fumbling this, sorry. It really does depend on what the reason is people are leaving and whether or not somebody suggests we raffle free trips to Hawaii.
I did not suggest that, just FYI.
You didn't. It really is a case-by-case basis. Some of the reasons people leave are things that are not in the control of us as an employer, and some of the reasons people leave are things that where we stumbled, and we just try very hard. It's one of the reasons we're doing the work environment survey, to create an atmosphere where people can be their genuine selves and be successful and learn and grow. But the other reality is for people who are ready for more responsibility and more career growth, they can't necessarily find it here in E&T. And so them leaving, hopefully leaving for another position in the university versus losing you altogether, is really the best option.
Yeah, if I could chime in there too, Lisa, I think really what is happening is this: we're not insular to what is happening in organizations across the labor market, and so there is good turnover, and meaning people that are leaving to grow and go elsewhere, and it's just creating space. But notwithstanding the question that came through, yes, it does make it difficult to push things across the finish line. But at the end of the day, this is what organizations are going through. Do we want people to leave? No, but we're trying to make this a great place for people to want to come and work, and for people to want to stay here and work and be a part of our community here. So, I would throw out there, we just had Marissa Regosa move on to an assistant director position over at UC Riverside. And I would tell you, both Chris Lechner and I encouraged her to apply for that position because it was the right thing for her and her growth. And so I think it's a positive move, and it creates, upward mobility for others, specifically in commuter and parking services organization, hopefully people that are ready to move up into different positions. So some of the growth and some of those opportunities are good, notwithstanding the fact that we but Marissa moving on did create a vacuum, of a knowledge vacuum for us. And we have to fill that, and it's going to take time. So I think those are some of the examples, hopefully, that we're going to be going through. There are others out there, obviously, but I think that's one of the positive examples we have.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. There are two questions about rail, transit, supposed pass, stuff like that. Dave Karwoski is not signed in as a panelist. So what I'm going to suggest is he put something in the next news bulletin that gives you an update on that, so that you don't have to wait till the next staff meeting.
I think
And then I think Gina, you were jumping in too, right?
Oh, yeah. Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not a panelist today, and I was trying to jump in there because the retention stuff is definitely something that I think about all the time and is near and dear to my heart. And so I just, wanted to kind of piggyback on some things that Lisa and Dave touched on, and I'll do so very briefly. Retention so important, right? We like Lisa mentioned, we're consistently working on the workplace environment, even if it's not a survey year, because that's just something that we always need to do. And we'll have action planning in place for units after that this year. I think that the department has asked for opinions and listened to staff as best as possible on the flex work topic, to provide that quality of life and balance for all. We also offer in-house trainings for people that are ready to get more skills. Such as TDI, and then we support any of the CHR related opportunities for people such as PDP, MDP. Those are different programs. Something that is also, a work in progress, and we're working with CMPS and TIRSA on this currently with one project in particular, is process improving on keeping institutional knowledge in-house, which I think really speaks to what this comment is about, so that it doesn't, when someone leaves, it doesn't have such an adverse impact on the team. And then additionally for retention, working with teams on communication and team building and navigating change, so that they can get tips and tools for how to cope in the new environment. So we do a lot of different stuff, and that's only like a couple of things that I could think to jot down real quick on a post-it note while I was trying to come in. But I definitely want to make myself available if anybody has ideas or further questions about this. We can talk about pain points and things like that. Happy to support and help and get other team members involved too. So thank you.
It is a little after 11, so I'm going to suggest if anybody has any additional questions, if you could email them to Steve, we will make sure they get answered. Thank you all for coming, and just a reminder, please do your work environment survey. Your feedback is important to us, and have a great day. Bye.
Bye, all.